Okay. Last story. This concerns Dad's career. Dad worked for the Internal Revenue Bureau as a special agent investigating gamblers and members of organized crime. The Mafia, as they are known to some. And there was a huge, important trial. 4 fairly high-level Mafia people were on trial, and Dad was the lead investigator. And Dad decided that it would be good if Mom and I experienced this historical trial, because this was way before Rudolph Giuliani, way before the RICO laws that are today, and way before all of the organized crime prosecutions. It may have been one of the highest people since Al Capone who were tried. And so we were going to take a day and go down and hear some testimony. And so we did. Mom and I went downtown, and we found the courtroom, and there on the wall of the courtroom was a sign that said, "No witnesses allowed inside." And so we looked at each other and said, "Oh, I guess we're not going to hear any testimony today. We'll just wait here till Dad comes out for lunch and go have lunch." And so Dad came out, and he was kind of a little bit frantic. He wondered where we'd been. He said, "Why weren't you there?" And he said, "The sign says, 'No witnesses allowed inside.'" And he said, "You're not witnesses, you're spectators." So we went inside, and I got an aisle seat, and Mom was next to me, and we're waiting for the afternoon courtroom to start, and I'm looking down at the 4 defendants, and by gosh, they look like gangsters. 4 of the gnarliest looking guys you've ever seen. They look like they should have been in Humphrey Bogart, Edward G. Robinson movies. They look like gangsters. And so finally the courtroom quiets down, and the afternoon is about to begin, and as it's quieting down, the U.S. attorney Dad was working with, and Dad walked up the aisle. Now, before we went down here, Dad had given us a warning. He said, "We don't want anyone to notice that you're connected to me. So if you don't acknowledge me, we won't acknowledge you. You don't look at me, I don't look at you. Don't speak to me, don't speak to you." Mom and I both remembered this. And Dad's walking up the aisle, and we're doing good. And the U.S. attorney walks through and catches sight of me and goes, "Cal! Hot diggity, is that your boy? Looks just like you." And all eyes in the courtroom are on me. The entirety of the LA underworld is looking at me. 30 certified murderers looking at me. So we sat through the afternoon testimony, and, later on, the worst of the 4, and I happened to make eye contact, and it was a chilling experience. It chilled me to the bone. I happened to cross, there's a picture many years later in a book of gangsters with their mugshots and a name, and I relived the experience 30 years later. I had the same chill, but those are the kind of people that Dad worked against in his career. But so we listened to the afternoon testimony, and it wasn't very interesting. And so after it was over, Mom and I had to go back to the parking lot. And we had to go take an elevator to the parking lot to get there. And we got on the elevator, and pushing past the normal-looking civilians are a couple of fairly beefy-looking guys with 5 o'clock shadows and very expensive suits. And they rode the elevator down with us, and Mom and I were apprehensive, to say the least. But we got to the car, and we got home, and everything without getting clipped, whacked, taken for a ride or anything, and everything worked out fine. So, Dad, on this, the occasion of your 87th birthday, let me say I love you, and thank you for giving me a most unusual upbringing, one that has provided me with a sense of humor that has enabled me to cope with everything that has come at me so far. Mwah. Thank you.